Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag, the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's have a moment of silence for our citizens in our nursing homes that are having a problem with the coronavirus right now, and also the staff for the exemplary work that they do in caring for these individuals. Thank you. Darn it.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Sandra,
Yes.
back here, this whole thing again. I'm doing something wrong.
That's okay.
Yeah, right there. I need to read that.
Okay.
Let's see, it doesn't have that there. Need to go back to what was there before. So it has it there. Okay.
Yep, so let's just roll with that.
Okay. King County Government Operations, citizens can participate by telephone conference call. Dial 1-872-239-8359 and enter conference ID 674-518-158 hashtag. In response to the state of emergency, individuals must refrain from attending meetings in person. Commissioners' meetings are live streamed, audio archived, and please mute your phone until Commission President opens the floor for comment. You now have several alcohol beverage license hearings. Do we do those, or is Tom on the phone, or?
Tom is on the call, or if he's unable to do them, I can read them. What's your pleasure?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here, but I think what we have are, they're not the hearings themselves, they're the notices of the hearing. I think Sandra can handle that.
Okay. Do you want to handle that, Sandra?
I can. And first, I'd like to thank the board for being flexible and allowing us to make some allowances during COVID so we could get these applications to hearing. So we have two hearings scheduled for May 26th at 10 a.m. The first is the Patnaviks, and they'll be applying for a Class A package store for beer and wine for Wharton Creek Marina. And the second is for Jeff McGuire, and that's for Babylon Revisited. If you recall, the establishment opened briefly, and now it's trying to reopen under a Zelda Speakeasy. So you'll hear both of those applicants on Tuesday, May 26th at 10 a.m.
Okay. Thank you. We now have a letter from Elizabeth Manning, the Town Administrator, Town of Millington, the King County 2020 Transportation Priority Letter. Which the Town of Millington would like the following projects to be included in the list of Maryland Department of Transportation projects. Streetscape priorities, complete the current drainage ADA sidewalk project and resurface Cypress and Sasser streets, grind existing pavement, correct foundation supportive roadway, and repave. We'll certainly take that under consideration. We now have several consent items. The regular session minutes from April the 28th and the liquor minutes from April the 28th.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now have the closed session report from April the 28th. On April 28th, 2020, the Commissioners held a closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals in accordance with general provisions Article 3-305B1 of the Internet Code of Maryland. Topics to be discussed: personnel matters specific to employees are confidential. Reason for closing: matters relating to personnel are confidential. No votes were taken.
Motion to approve. Right.
No, I don't. We don't have to vote on that. It's just a
reading
report.
it out.
All right.
Now have a recognition here. Warden, are you on the call?
I'm here, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. We have a recognition here for Willard Marshall.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this thing down. It's about to choke me. This is to certify that Willard Marshall is hereby recognized for exemplary service and dedication to the correction profession. We, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, are proud to join the Maryland Correctional Administrators Association in recognizing and honoring Willard Marshall as Correctional Officer of the Year, signed by the County Commissioners of Kent County, P. Thomas Mason, Ronald H. Fithian, and Robert N. Jacob. So that's, we'll see that you get this, but this is for the state. Herb, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
This was recognition by the state, is that correct? Or just by us?
Just by us.
Okay.
He's been chosen, if I'm not, Warden, you correct me if I'm wrong, but he's been chosen for this year's officer. Is that Officer of the Year?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Marshals did a great job this year, and his peers actually picked him to be Officer of the Year.
Very good.
Very good. We need a motion here to, we'll be all right. Okay. Herb, we have
Got a proclamation there.
proclamation here. I'll hand that to you. We have a proclamation here for Correctional Officers of the Week, and Commissioner Fithian will read that.
It says Kent County, Maryland Proclamation, Correctional Officers and Employees Week. Whereas much is expected from the men and women who work in our county correctional facility every day, and whereas correctional officers and employees are skilled professionals who act as counselors, communicators, and experts in crisis intervention and must preserve the safety of their lives and property, maintaining their professional demeanor while often facing hostile, aggressive, and intimidating behavior from inmates. And whereas the general public should fully appreciate correctional officers and employees capable handling of the physical and emotional demands made upon them daily. Simply because a criminal is caught and incarcerated does not mean he or she is no longer a threat to our community. Men and women of corrections are confronted each day by the most dangerous individuals among us. Their profession requires careful and constant vigilance, and the threat of violence is always present. At the same time, these dedicated employees try to improve the living conditions of those who are being confined, and whereas the men and women of the Kent County Detention Center unceasingly provide a vital public service, now therefore we, the Board of County Commissioners of Kent County, call upon all citizens of Kent County to observe this week of May the 3rd to the 9th, 2020 as correctional officers and Employees Week, which all of our citizens may join in commemorating correctional officers and employees past and present. Signed, County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, P. Thomas Mason, President, Ronald H. Fithian, member, Robert N. Jacob, Jr., member, dated May 5th, 2020. And it's our privilege to present you all with this proclamation.
Thank you, sir.
You didn't sign your.
Thank you, Herb, and please express to your employees our thankfulness that they do such a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now ready for Rob Tracy. Rob?
Good evening. The first thing on the agenda for me is I've received 8 applications to establish agricultural farmland preservation districts. These districts have been reviewed by the Planning Commission and by the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board. All farms are outside of the 10-year water and sewer planning service area and are located within the priority preservation area. The farms are zoned agricultural zoning district with one farm containing a portion of land that's zoned RCD, which is Resource Conservation District. The Planning Commission has included a letter, which I included in your packet, which explains their favorable recommendation. At this time, I'm requesting the scheduling of those 8 districts in a public hearing.
Which farm has the RCD?
The RCD is application 2004.
Frank R. Lewis Jr.
Yeah. Okay,
The Lewis Farm.
right. So you're wanting approval of these?
No, sir. I'm just asking for. I apologize.
Scheduling the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And Rob, refresh us here a minute. Okay, they go to the public hearing, and then they are voted on by the planning and zoning again. Is that correct?
No, sir. Once so they've already been to the Planning Commission and they've been reviewed by the local Ag Preservation Board. They would come to you for final approval.
We'll have the public hearing, and then we won't vote on it that night, but
Vote on them later.
probably vote on it the next meeting or so.
Have our discussions.
So we should have discussion now, or
We could
we could have discussion at the public hearing?
we could go ahead and approve setting up the dates for the public hearings if we have any additional information we want to get
Right.
before, and then we'll have our public hearing, and then we'll make a decision after that.
Hey, Rob, when we
Yes.
have our public hearing, could I get a map of like maybe the 3 or 4 square miles around each
Is
parcel?
now joining.
Yes, sir. I can provide that information.
It'll just make it easier to see where these farms and what's located around them and their proximity to the town.
I'd be happy to provide that information.
Thank you.
Sure.
Then I'll make a motion that we allow them to set the date for a public hearing.
A second.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, Rob, you also have another one?
Yes. So I've received an application to Marbitco's Next Generation Farmland Acquisition Program. This program assists young farmers in purchasing farmland by essentially fronting the money to buy a farm with the agreement that they apply to sell an easement and use that money to repay the loan to purchase the farm. The applicant, Kevin Miller, is applying to use Next Generation funding to purchase a 202-acre farm located at 28260 Morgneck Road in Kennedyville that is currently owned by Alice and Michael Maloney. Form 1 is required. One of the forms required in this application process needs to be signed by the county commissioners. The form establishes a default easement holder as Marbidco, who in the event of the applicant being unable to sell the permanent conservation easement within 7 years, they will find someone to purchase the loan, which will most likely be Mouth. There is no guarantee that the applicant will receive approval from Marbidco. This is just the first step in that process. I'm requesting that Form 4 be signed by the county commissioners, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
You want us to sign it tonight?
So let's see. So what does this actually mean, the default easement holder?
So the default easement holder, on that form, there are two choices. One is a county program, and one is Marbidco. I'm sorry.
Jenny.
Oh, dog.
I'm sorry.
At my house, that means,
Keep going.
hey, Rob, at my house, that means the cows are out.
I apologize. So there are two options for the default easement holder. Kent County doesn't have a county agricultural preservation program that is run by the county, so that option wouldn't apply to us. So it would go to Marbidco, and what that basically means, that is, in the event that the applicant is unable to sell an easement and put that land into a permanent conservation easement, Marbidco would take that over, and they would find a program to put the land in a permanent conservation easement.
So either way, it would go into permanent preservation. I think here,
Yes.
I mean,
Rob, my understanding, this is kind of like a placeholder type of situation, right? Where this easement is temporary. The property's always going to be preserved, but before it gets to the easement holder that's going to have it on a long-term basis, we have somebody else holding the easement on a temporary basis. So the farmer can get some relief, or the child of the farmer who's purchasing the property can get some funds.
I believe that's the case.
yeah. But the farm has not, at the present time, the farm has not been purchased. Is that correct?
That's correct. And this would still be required to go through the regular process as far as the county and the state if they were approved for the Marbidco loan. So it would still have to be reviewed by the Ag Preservation Board, go to the Planning Commission, and an agricultural district with the county would need to be established. So that process would still need to go through. This is just the Form 4 is just the first step in the Marbidco application process.
Do any of these farms ever not get preserved?
No.
You buy a farm, you go for the preserve, putting in a preserve, and then you get added money to pay down your debt with. So,
Yeah, I guess the problem I have here is we haven't even purchased a farm. It seems like we have the cart before the horse.
Sir, this money would be coming from Marbidco, and they would use that money to purchase the farm for Kevin. He would then, with the agreement, he has 7 years to sell, put that farm in agricultural easement, most likely with Mouth. When he receives the money from Mouth, he repays the fund money from Marbidco. So the county wouldn't be putting forward any money.
What happens if the county doesn't want the farm in preservation?
Well, what happens if down the road, it says here something about 7 years, the county doesn't want the farm in preservation? For whatever reason. Is this saying it has to go in preservation?
No, they would find another program to put it in.
And we could still go in preservation.
That would be something that Marbidco, I believe, would have to.
But it would be going into preservation of some kind.
I believe that's the
So we're
arrangement.
essentially agreeing right now that this farm will go in preservation.
I'd have to look into that and get back to you, sir.
I think maybe we should table this and get a little more information and come back to us next week. Is that?
Sir, this application is due. I'm trying to get this application as soon as possible. The application deadline was actually next week, so I'm trying to expedite this process. We had a application 3 or 4 months ago for the same program with Brian Zeisset. It's the same program.
I don't want to.
Well,
It's almost like every farmer.
What is the due date, Rob?
So I've been working with Marbidco, Allison Rowe, and I believe the application deadline was about a week ago. And so I told her that it was going to the commissioners tonight, and that I would do, if they approved it, that I would get it to her as soon as possible.
Well, I was always under the impression under Marbidco, if a young farmer wanted to buy a farm, he bought the farm, and then he attempted to put it in preservation. And if it went into preservation, Marbidco would then provide this money, and it went forward. But in this case, we haven't even. I guess I don't want to put a perpetual easement on something that someone doesn't even own yet.
Sir, this is just, you're not putting an easement on this. You're just you're giving Marbidco, you're signing off and consenting to that Marbidco would be the default holder on this if they were approved. It's not.
I move to approve Marbidco to designate the conservation program to hold a perpetual easement on the 202-acre farm that Kevin Miller would like to purchase if he is unable to sell an easement within 7 years and sign Form 4. So we are essentially at this point putting a perpetual easement on it.
It would still have to go through the county process for the agricultural district.
But if we said no, you said Marbidco would just find another easement to put it in, maybe without our consent.
If they approved of his application.
Well, Marbidco is going to approve the application.
Which means, in essence, if we say yes, we're doing it right now without a public hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this seems to bypass our county.
Did you get that, Tom? Tom, if we approve this right now, and Marbidco has the rights to put this in preservation, and then if we deny preservation, then they can just find somebody else to put it in preservation with and bypass us.
Well, if this goes forward, aren't there additional processes that would have to take place before this easement would go in?
Yes, sir. That's correct, Tom.
Yeah, maybe you could explain that to the commissioners, because I think what you're asking them to approve is to have the process go forward. You're not asking them to approve the specific or the actual easements themselves tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, maybe you could just kind of walk them through the program.
Well, this isn't what this wording says. Did you see that, Tom?
No.
I mean, well, let me read you what is
Yeah.
This is
you could
asking
do
us
that.
to approve. I move to
Yeah.
approve Marbidco to designate the conservation program to hold a perpetual easement on the 202-acre farm that Mr. Miller would like to purchase if he is unable to sell an easement within 7 years. So that means Marbitco already has the easement.
One way or the other. They're
One way or
gonna
the
find
other.
an easement.
They're going to find that they are going to sell the easement to somebody, which is bypassing the public hearing, the whole works.
It's my understanding that Marbitco does have several different programs, and I think maybe this is one I'm not as familiar with. But it does sound to me that it will go through the county process first. They're going to put up money to help him buy the farm. They'll go through the county process first. If he's unable to sell that way, they're going to find a different way to put it into easement, like Eastern Shore Land Conservancy or whatever other programs are out there.
Yeah, the impression that I got was you have like a young farmer that wants to purchase a farm, and this allows them to get the money to do that because they're not able to go through the process, let's say, to get a mouth easement right now. So they go through this process now, and it's anticipated that once they do this, the farm's always going to be an ag preservation, and this will eventually become a mouth easement. That's just my general understanding of it. Rob, anything you wish to add?
Yes, I would like to. That's all the information that you've presented is correct, Shelley and Tom. I would like to add that there would be a public hearing at the time that the county district would be created. So the county commissioners would have input then.
Yes, but
that's the concern I think the commissioners have, is they don't want to just approve this without getting input from the public and going through the hearing process like we would typically do when we do the scoring, for the mouth districts.
But it sounds like to me, if the county doesn't approve it, Marbitco is going to find another easement program that won't require a county hearing. A lot of those programs don't require it. The county one does.
So this gives us a say. If we go this route, we have a say. If we don't go this route, we run the risk of an easement being put on the land without us having a say.
We run that risk anyway by approving it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Either way, we run that risk.
So it sounds to me like Marbitco is confident that they can get an easement put on this if they're going to put up that kind of money up front, awaiting the potential easement. They're not going to put that money up front if they're not confident that they're going to get an easement one way or another, and that is what is helping him buy the property.
Right. Plus they're making it's a 3% interest rate essentially, which is a reasonable interest rate. I know you mentioned the other property that we approved, but we did not approve it. In my understanding, we approved a district.
Sir, this is not giving any approval. It's just acknowledging that you are okay with Marbitco being the default holder. There's no 100% guarantee that this is going to be approved by Marbitco.
But if
Have there been any that have not been approved by Marbitco?
I apologize. I don't have that information, but I can reach out and get that.
It sounds like if we approve it, they're going to put it in preservation, whether they do it through us or not.
Well, and from what Rob's saying, that's what they've done with the other farm there on Flatland Road and Morris Road.
And we don't know what his funding options are if you don't approve this. Like it could be that the only way for him to move forward is to go this route, which is basically assuring himself that he will guarantee
he'll guarantee get $500,000.
So you're right. We are right now approving preservation or not.
Right. That's what it appears to me, the way this is worded.
Can't you just put, like you said, put it on, wait till next Tuesday? And
He says he's already a week behind. I can't think that they can't wait another week. I'm just a little concerned that we're taking it, we're letting someone else make decisions for our county on what we essentially they're zoning our ground for us.
I mean, I don't mind farm preservations, but I just don't want every farm in farm preservation.
I mean, and I'll say this, we have not done a good job with land preservation. We have put farms in preservation and that should not be in preservation. We've got farms where we have run water and sewer down in front of the farms, and they're in preservation. And we've put them in preservation after the water and sewer was put there.
Sir,
I mean,
Sir.
Yes.
If I may, this farm does meet all the criteria for an ag preservation district, as well as criteria listed for mouth. The soils are very good, and it's also in the priority preservation area, and it is outside of the water and sewer area plan as well.
I don't really have a problem with this farm going into preservation. What I don't like is Marbitco taking control of it.
I understand, sir. I think the reason that this clause is in there is that Marbitco is funding the purchase of this farm for young farmers, and I think that what the program is designed to do is it allows young farmers who can't purchase a farm purchase that farm and put that land in preservation. And I think this clause is really just to make sure that Marbitco gets his money back.
Which is true, but
I think
they get their money back.
For this clause. If there's no default holder, it wouldn't go into preservation, and then they wouldn't recapture the money.
I suspect he's using this as a way to help finance his farm. So he very much is counting on the fact it's going to go into preservation.
Right.
Otherwise, he wouldn't go this route.
But it could be 5, 6, well, it says here 7 years. They have 7 years. If he's unable to sell an easement within 7 years, you know what might happen next year? There might not be any money from mouth. I mean, who knows? And in 2 more years, Governor Hogan's not our governor, depending on what governor we have. And we went through this with our previous governor. He pulled all the money on mouth. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen 2 years from now or 5 years from now. I think the farm is located in such a location that there's not going to be anything but farming there, and should, the easement's fine, but I don't like Marbitco telling us what we're going to do. So I don't know how we get around this.
Well,
That's way. I mean, for tonight,
I'm okay with that farm eventually going into where it's located.
Yeah.
But I don't like, I'm with you, I don't like the process, the way this plant works out.
Another week of.
Can you reword this motion somehow in another week? Tell them they're just going to have to wait another week. And reword this motion to where I
think the motion is, I'm not sure that there is a reword of it. I mean, it's pretty much what it states.
The motion says that if we put up the money for this farm and you don't put it in preservation, then we're going to find a place to put it in preservation to get our money back.
Yeah.
Which completely takes us out of our hands.
Takes it out of our hands.
So whether in essence, we have to either be okay with that position where the farm is, or, because I don't know if we could fight this. How could we fight this?
Well, you can't. If it's not the county preservation, you can't fight it. You could write a letter as they approach another, somebody who's going to put an easement on it. You could write a letter saying we don't approve of it, but that's only an opinion letter.
Yeah, I agree with Shelley's assessment.
Yeah.
But for this particular one, I'd be okay with. Now, another one they may come up with, I may not be okay with, and then we don't have their hands are tied.
Yeah, well, we've already got one. If I'd have known this, maybe I wasn't reading right. I wouldn't have approved the other one. I thought it still had to go through county vetting and be approved.
It does, sir. It does.
And be approved by the county commissioners. It doesn't.
It does. It has to be approved. It has to be approved by the county commissioners to move forward.
If it gets put under preservation under mouth.
But
yes,
if we
it would still go through the county process.
If we approve this, we can't. Well, it wouldn't go under mouth. It would go under some other program.
I think that it would probably try Mount first.
Right.
But if it, for whatever reason, they said, no, we don't like it or whatever, they could go somewhere else, such as Eastern Shore Land Conservancy, and then Eastern Shore Land Conservancy will ask you for an opinion. What is your opinion? Do you approve of this farm going into preservation? But it's just your opinion.
Can we just table it for a week?
I don't care. If that's going to help make the decision, table it.
Some phone calls. Shelley can
I
call
always-
Marbitco and clarify what we're actually doing.
I think you pretty much know.
I think we know what we're doing.
What this is doing. I'm not sure that there's anything more to learn.
In this case, if we don't oppose it being in preservation,
Then we're approving it.
We're approving this farm to go into preservation tonight.
In effect, right, it's not the actual true approval process, but
Right.
in effect, what you're saying is that your stamp of approval is on this farm going into preservation.
Right.
That is
And I think I know about where this is. I don't have the bigger map to see what's around it, but I'm pretty sure I know about where it is.
I mean, I as far as the location, there's no, I don't see any water and sewer or anything within
long
term.
Yeah.
We do have some that we're trying to put in preservation that, as far as I'm concerned, we need to change this 10-year thing. But we have some that we're trying to put in preservation that, as far as I'm concerned, are within our growth zones. But that's another whole issue. So what do we want to do here tonight? Are you all right with approving this?
Unless we can find a reason why we don't want this particular farm to be in preservation, I think we ought to just go ahead and approve this one, and then if we've got issues with the other ones, we'll
We should, I mean, I'm okay with where this is to put it in preservation, but we should clarify the process.
Well, I think we've got to,
This is not your process, this is Marbitco's process.
yes, but the problem becomes when,
Is that from the state? Marbitco, they aren't directly the state.
Rob, do you remember what Marbitco stands for?
Marbitco is it's the Maryland
Agricultural Resource Board, Investment.
Quasi-state.
So you'd almost have to have a,
Quasi-state.
you'd almost have to have a bill in Annapolis to change what they're.
No, I mean, honestly, they've looked at this farm, and they have said, we believe it belongs in preservation, and so they're just helping to facilitate it going into preservation.
Whether the county agrees with it or not.
I mean, think about even,
Well, I think that's what they're here for. If we agree with it, we go along with it. If it was one in question, we'd say no. Just that simple.
The impression that I get with this is it's a vehicle so the young farmer can purchase the property, whereas they're getting the money for an easement sooner rather than later, so they have funds to purchase the property, as opposed to somebody that has a farm and they're thinking about selling it, and then they get the easement money to induce them not to sell it. That's just the impression I get for the goal intents of the program.
They're fronting the money until they can get it in preservation, and then the money's returned to them.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
Rob might have more to add.
Therefore, we're approving it.
Right.
But I'm okay with this farm, I'm just not okay with the process.
your stamp of approval on the fact that it will be preserved.
Whether it's through MALP or whether it's through some other program.
And if we want to make an issue out of the Marbitco process, then if they ever come here with one that we don't agree with, that'd be the time, I think, to say, well, we got a problem.
Looks like it's a development corporation. I know that they get grant funding from the state and from other quasi-state.
Yeah, I mean, Marbitco's a good program. I mean, it helps farmers, and, I mean, I've gotten Marbitco loans, but because they're cheap loans.
Right.
Just, they try to help finance a larger project to try to make it easier to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Marbitco is a good organization. It's good people, and it's just that I think what our concern is taking the authority away from our county. But on this particular property, I don't know that I have a problem with that.
I don't have one either, knowing where it's at,
I'll make a motion to approve.
and I'll second it.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Sorry, Rob. Sorry we took so long.
No problem, sir.
You take care of the dog now.
I appreciate
Take
your
care of
time.
that
Thank
dog.
Take care of that dog.
He ought to have the cows rounded up by now. Either that or he's chased them 5 miles away.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now ready for Jamie Williams.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy Cinco de Mayo and Taco Tuesday.
Happy what?
Cinco de Mayo,
Had corn
5th of
chips.
May, and Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. I got that one. What was the other one?
Cinco de Mayo,
Yeah,
5th of May.
Let's have a shot of tequila, Tom.
Well, no, you're supposed to drink a Corona.
But
Oh,
no
Corona.
Corona beer.
Right.
No.
Okay.
That's what was in this Coke.
So I'm here this evening in previous discussion with the county commissioners, we talked about dissolving the current revolving loan fund to establish a small business COVID-19 emergency grant fund. So I'm just going to give a little bit of background on that to catch everybody up to where we are. The Kent County Small Business COVID-19 Emergency Grant Fund would offer working capital to assist Kent County for-profit small businesses with disrupted operations due to COVID-19. Grant assistance is intended to provide interim relief complementing other arrangements with other entities. So it would be grants of $1,000. The funds would have to be expended within 90 days of receipt, and the applicant must provide documentation of how the funds were expended. The businesses had to be established prior to January 1st of this year, 2020, and have not more than 4 employees on March 5th of 2020 when COVID began. Businesses do have to be physically located in Kent County, be in good standing with the state of Maryland and the Comptroller of Maryland, as well as Kent County. And we have worked with other departments within the county, as well as different sites for state verification that they are in good standing. And we have a process we will go through. We'll be working also with Planning and Zoning, the Office of Finance, to make sure that they're in good standing as we review the applications. So we had a couple of things that hopefully we'll be able to clear up this evening and get this grant program rolled out to the community. We do have a balance of $79,606.25. We're proposing that we process the applications, verify the applications, and then request a W-9 from the applicant. And then once we receive that information, ESAC would cut and mail the ESAC, Eastern Shore Entrepreneurship Center, would cut the checks, mail them, and issue the 1099s at the end of the year for us. So our recommendation is that we recommend approval to award 75 $1,000 grants. This would keep $4,606.25 in the fund. This would pay for dispersing the funds, a small administrative fee, and then what is left, keep that account open at People's Bank. In the event that funds come through from the CARES Act, we would be able to use that fund for other business assistance programs. And, we can decide how to reimburse businesses for certain expenses or forgivable loans or whatever we decide at that time. The application is completed and will be available online only. It's an easy access from a PC or a smartphone. And I did email you guys or included a copy in the packet. We have had one modification, which I'll talk about real quick, but it will be available online. It's estimated to take 10 minutes to complete, but honestly, it took a lot less than that. It was very easy. But one thing that we talked about with on a call with Jason from IT and Emily, we were talking about how to get the application online. And we talked about if we really wanted them to get a physical signature on it. And we did decide with the state of COVID-19 that it was best to have no physical contact if we could avoid it. So by typing in their name, they will sign the application. And then the only other thing we've added to the application since it was placed in the commissioner's packet is that at the end, and we're going to have them initial that they will provide the W-9 and proof of recent business activity upon request. For 90% of these, we will probably not need that because we'll be able to verify through their business license or their SDAT filing of their personal property tax return. But if they're not, we may request some additional documentation from them. And Emily and I have spoken about what that would be too, but it will not be a cumbersome process. We have developed a review process. As I mentioned, we talked to planning and zoning. They'll be assisting as well as the Office of Finance to make sure that the businesses are in good standing. So we have a process that's also listed in your, was included in your packet. The applications, when they come through, they're actually numbered and date and time stamped in the system so that we know that we're reviewing them and awarding them in order as we go through. I've got two open issues that I'd like to discuss with you guys, unless you have any other things that you might think that might need to be discussed. My first question is, do we want to reconsider the question about previously receiving funds precluding someone from a grant award? And the reason I ask this is because this week we did find out that two of our local banks actually got about $12 million out into the community in PPP loans. So we know that funding is starting to hit our businesses now. And we can set that at a de minimis level if you want, or we can leave it as it is and have it not be a preclude them from getting the funds. That is totally your choice. But we could say that if you've received COVID-19 grants or loans, $5,000 and above, then you would not get this $1,000 grant. So that way we're ensuring that we're helping the ones that haven't received funding. But that's something I need to know, get direction from you.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
I don't think that's, I mean, I don't know what you think, Ronnie. I don't think it's a bad idea.
That if they've received the funds from someplace else, let somebody have a chance that hasn't received any.
Right, and I don't think I'd put a $5,000 if they've received money.
It's been that much anyhow. I mean, whatever it is, they've got
whatever they've gotten money, which is probably going to be more than $1,000.
Some have actually received just $1,000, Commissioner Mason. So that's why I was thinking maybe if we set a de minimis amount, whether it's $5,000 or $10,000. So, you know, if somebody got $1,000, which some of our sole proprietors did through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Fund, which becomes a grant. So that's why I was thinking it might be, you know, might set it at $5,000. Because, you know, if somebody gets $1,000 and they get another $1,000 from this, again, they're not going to get rich. But if somebody has $5,000 or $10,000, then this $1,000's really not going to help them as much as it would someone else.
Right. The problem I got with it, Jamie, I like the idea, and look, one of the things we know that we're going to get criticized for is that there's only going to be 75 of these people, these businesses that are going to get awarded, and if I think if you got help from someplace else, I think as much as I would like to be able to help everybody, our measly $1,000, we wanted to help people that haven't been helped someplace else. I would think that if you've received help from other programs, that maybe we should let this be to the people that haven't received any. So at least. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like it makes it go a little further and help those that haven't been helped prior.
I don't think this, this $1,000 isn't going to save your business.
No.
But, and I don't know, in some cases, 5,000 or 10,000 might not save it. But I do think if a person has received some money, if they have received $1,000 or more, which is what this grant is, I think, and I'm not saying you eliminate them, but you're going to take, when you get your applications, if this person has filled it out and they have not received any money, they get a $1,000 grant. And the next application, well, we got such and such from PPP. Well, you're going to put it aside. And then when you get all done, when the application, I think it says here May the 15th, is when all the applications have to begin. If we've given away $40,000 and we still have, $35,000.
Reconsider.
Back, because you said you're going to time date them and everything,
Yep.
and take them by the way they came in, those that have received money, and give 1,000, start then again.
It just seems like it gives us
like
a
that
chance
idea.
to help a few more people than's been helped through other means. That's all.
Okay.
Look, it's not good no matter how we do it because it's not enough to help everybody.
In theory, you could have somebody here had 1 to 4 employees. If you don't put that on it, and they got $75,000 in PPP money. Now, should they really get another 1,000?
You would think they wouldn't even apply.
Well, right, you would think they wouldn't apply, but when there's businesses that haven't gotten any.
We just want to make it go as far as we can, and if we can help people
Okay.
that haven't been helped, I don't know how to do it.
And I'm assuming that this 1 to
I'm good
4,
with that process.
this 1 to 4 employees, the first employee is the owner of the business, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think,
So we will go with if you've received any funding, you're going to go in the pile for if there is money left at the end of going through the
Right.
applications.
Yeah.
based on when your application came in.
Correct. Okay. And then the next question is I had is, do the commissioners want to review before we award the funding, or do you just want us to keep a track of them and just send a report to you? How do you want that handled?
Well, you have a committee here, right?
Yes, we do.
And your committee will be reviewing them.
Yes, they will.
So, I trust you all to,
Okay.
and
then we'll just
that's just me
report back.
speaking.
I'd rather not have anything to do with who gets it and who doesn't, tell
Okay.
you the truth.
Plus, that'll slow it down, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Correct.
Jamie can
That'll
move
slow
forward.
getting the money out there. Correct. Okay. So our recommendation is that after tonight's hearing and I make the changes to the application, that we push the notices out, that sometime this evening we'll push a notice out, that we're going to open the applications tomorrow at 10 a.m., which is Wednesday, May 6th. And we will close applications the following Friday, which is May 10th at 5 p.m. And that will be pending availability. So obviously, if we run out by Friday, we're not going to continue to take applications all next week. But
No.
if we don't get enough, we will.
Now, you have May 7th on here and May 15th.
Where are you looking, Commissioner Mason? I'm
Back
sorry.
there on what we have on our screen, we recommend a launch date of Thursday, May the 7th,
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes,
In the
I
Novus
have
agenda
changed
item.
that.
and a application deadline date of Friday, May the 15th.
Yes, we have changed that.
Okay, so what are you saying now, May the 6th?
Let me see if I'm looking at the right date. Yes, that's tomorrow, May 6th.
By 10
And
a.m.
I'm sorry, you are correct that it's the 15th, not the 10th. Sorry.
Okay,
So the 6th, we would roll it out tomorrow, the 6th, and then we would take applications until Friday, the 15th,
In other
pending
words,
availability of funds.
You're going to put it on your website where they can apply for an application, and they'll be
Correct.
able to get these applications tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
They'll be available tomorrow at 10.
Available tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
this
And
is, this is on the, on the county?
website.
Yes, it will be on the county website. We will be sending out an email notification to everyone that has reached out to us during this time. In addition, yesterday, Emily put a post on Facebook that if anybody wanted to be notified, we've added them to the list as well. So we've been gathering a list of email notifications, and we have like 178 on there. It includes all of our business association, the Watermen's Association, the Farmers Bureau, the Farm Bureau, all of our town officials. So we feel that this is going to go at this will go out widely. We'll also put it on all of our social media channels as well, and we'll ask all of our EDC members to share it. So that the word gets out to the community that the applications will open at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, so, and how are you time stamping these and date stamping them? Is that done automatically?
It is. It's
Okay.
done through Microsoft Forms. The application is actually a Microsoft form, and as soon as they complete it, it numbers it. And actually, if you'll see the that I did just to fill out, it was a 5-page document, and it said respondent number 3, but it actually has a date and time when they come in, and we can see when that person actually hit submit.
Where's this now?
Pretty high-tech, Tom.
Well, I'm looking at the application.
Yeah, it's an online form, so when it's
Yep.
submitted, that's part of the data that's recorded. What Jamie's saying is when you hit submit,
It sticks it on there.
the software,
It will. So this form, this draft we have is not the application?
Which one do you have, first of all?
I
'Cause
have COVID-19 Small Business Emergency Grant Fund, business profile.
Is it
Exposure.
COVID-19
Okay,
grant
yes.
application?
that is the application, but if you see do you see at the top where it says respondent number 3?
It has here a loan application number, but there's no number there. Date
Okay,
application received, and there's nothing.
I'm sorry, I think that's the old form. That was the Microsoft form. So we actually had to build a form, and that was a Microsoft Word form. We had to build a Microsoft form that they could fill out online so that it would be submitted.
Okay, well, if you have it all, I'm fine.
And we do.
I mean, I just don't want to get a phone call that, hey, I put my application in and it didn't do such and such, and
Jamie, I guess what I'm getting ready to say is I'm trying to justify it in my mind that we're doing the right thing. As far as eliminating people that's got other help, my reason for thinking that we ought to eliminate them until the second round, if there is is we know there's going to be people that's going to apply, and the money's going to run out. So they're going to be upset as it is. If like the number 80th person, if we're only going to give 75 of these out, 76 persons going to be disappointed to start with for $1,000. But if we allow people that, I don't want to see somebody be able to say, well, so-and-so, that business, they got $5,000 from over here, then they got another $1,000 from the county. I didn't get a darn thing. I didn't get. Now, it could be all their fault, but nevertheless, that's why I think it's a good idea that, if somebody's got help someplace else, let's let the ones that haven't got it have a shot at it. That may not make any sense to anybody, but it makes a little bit to me. I don't know.
makes sense to me.
And it absolutely does, and that's why we thought it was important to bring it up again tonight after, it's been a week since we talked, and, some of the money that we're aware of, some of the money that has, when we talked last week, I had a lot more businesses saying that I hadn't gotten anything. Now I'm starting to hear of businesses actually receiving funds, which is great, but we still have some that haven't.
We know for sure that we're putting our neck out there because there's not enough to go around. I'd like to just put it out as just a little farther maybe and say, we want to help the ones that haven't been helped. That'll sort of narrow the people down a little bit as to who will apply. And maybe it won't be so bad. I don't know.
So basically, I just need a motion to approve based on our for me to proceed as directed tonight, and we can go from there. And then I do have a couple of stats about our businesses I'll share with you real quick.
Well, first, yeah, May the 6th. Is that too quick? Should it be May the 7th?
No, May 6th is okay. That's tomorrow. We've already worked with Jason. We've got the site ready.
So you're ready to go.
We are ready to go.
You don't have to work all night getting this thing on.
No, I have to make a couple modifications based on our discussion tonight, but it shouldn't take me long to do that.
You know what? I'm going to kind of echo what Tom said a little bit, and I'll give you a little rationale. If you say these things are going to be available tomorrow at 10, shouldn't we make it maybe Thursday only so that Chestertown Spy, Kent Pilot, can get the word out to the people? If I don't know who's even going to know about this by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Well, they have an email list, but I kind of agree with Ronnie. I just
give yourself another day to get it right, and that gives a day for these internet papers and stuff to just talk about it a little bit.
So we
It'll
can
be Thursday at 10 o'clock.
You got it.
Is that all right, fellas?
That's all right with me. What I had another question here. The Mike Thieke dispense the funds for administrative fee. What is that?
Yes. I don't know what it will be, but I know that we have $4,000 left. He's going to do time for Terry to actually process the checks, because she will have to key in. They use QuickBooks, so she will have to key in the information, print the checks, put them in the mail. So it will just be whatever time it takes Terry and Mike to facilitate that operation for us. And trust me, it will be a much faster process than us processing those checks.
Okay. Well, I just curious, but that's fine. Okay. So we just need a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve Jamie's application and for the $1,000 grant and making it available to the public on Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to share a couple statistics real quick with you. So we are working on a business impact survey of our businesses, and we've gotten 76 responses so far. We're going to let it go until Friday. But I did just want to share, just a couple of statistics real quick with you. One of the questions was, has the business operation changed since the start of COVID-19? Continued to operate as normal, only 8% of the respondents chose that. 21% said they're continuing to operate with modifications. 49% are shut down. And then 33% said other. We also asked if they had laid employees off, and 32% of the respondents said yes. We had 68% that said no. We also asked if they've not laid people off, are they planning on laying people off if the state of emergency continues? And 63% said no. So that's some good news for our businesses. We did ask about if they had employees teleworking. Currently, we have 80% that said no. Only 20% said yes. So I found that kind of interesting.
What was that question again?
Do you currently have employees teleworking? So working from home. So we're trying to capture some of that data as well. And then the last question I want to share with you this evening, if the state of emergency was prolonged, how at risk would the business be to closing permanently? And 21%, on a scale of 1 to 5, they were at a 5. And then we had another 21% at a 4, and 24% at a 3, 24% at a 24% at a 2, yes. And there were 11% of the respondents that were on the low side of that. So we'll continue to do this until Friday and try to get more businesses to complete the survey, and then we'll report those back to you.
Jamie, I have just one question. And I don't have these initials. The EDICL loan, or
the Economic Injury Disaster Loan for SBA?
Now,
yes.
If a person got PPP money, they're not eligible for that loan. Is that correct?
That's not necessarily true, is my understanding.
They're eligible for it, but it comes off the PPP? Or it's not a grant?
I think what they were saying, they could roll their EIDL into a PPP. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, Commissioner Mason, because that was kind of muddy in the very beginning because they rolled out one and not the other. And the EIDL funds never reopened as the PPP loans did, except to agricultural businesses as of yesterday.
Right. But I was told that if you got a PPP loan, you couldn't get a EID whatever unless you had to come off. You had to come off the PPP. I mean, I don't know. I get confused with all these initials, and
that is still a little muddy for me as well.
Yeah.
So I can try to find out more information on that and let you know.
I asked a couple people, and it was muddy even to them, but that was the explanation they had. Plus that application for that loan, it has on there, it takes you 2 hours and 10 minutes to fill out, which I don't know if it takes that long or not, but it does look pretty erroneous just starting it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for everything that you and Emily have done to help us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Scott, you've been waiting patiently. Or I say you've been waiting, maybe you haven't been patient, I don't know.
The first item is a request to approve a master service agreement for the Quaker Neck project. As we discussed earlier today, that is simply for the 12 fibers for government services. It's identical other than the name change to what we did in Golds.
So why is it like 8 or 9 pages just to say that?
It's a template that we use for all of our projects.
Okay. There's nothing else in there, and that's basically the Reader's Digest
Well,
version.
I mean, it's the Reader's Digest form, but it also takes into account the maintenance. If something breaks, we don't have to fix it. They have to fix it, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
Termination clauses, default clauses, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And these are the funds, just to clarify, these are the fibers that we own, correct?
This one is not ownership, but it's an IRU in perpetuity because of the way the state grant is structured.
Say that again, Scott, just a little slower.
Okay, so the way the state grant is structured, in order for us to get access to these fibers, it's an IRU, but it's in perpetuity. We have access to those fibers.
Microphone?
It's actually that microphone.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that we're talking about the fibers that are owned by us.
Right, for our exclusive
For our use.
Yes.
They're for our exclusive use. They're not actually owned by us, but it's in perpetuity.
I got it. These are our fibers.
They are
Okay,
our
thanks.
fibers, yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Okay, the second item is memorandum of understanding with the Office of Rural Broadband for the broadband expansion projects. These are the 7 projects that we spoke about today and previously. Pretty much the same setup as what we did for Goltz and Quaker Neck. They're all in one MOU, just like the Goltz and Quaker Neck one was. And so As I discussed earlier today, we found additional state funding to move forward, and so we're asking for a motion to approve, and if you would like to use contingency funds to get this started.
Any questions? Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Office of Rural Broadband for broadband expansion and engage Think Big Networks as the general contractor and allocate $125,000 out of contingency to get the project off to a start.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now, yes, Mike?
Yep, we're here. Good evening.
Bridge repair engineering contract.
Yes, the Department of Public Works.
Is now exiting.
The Department of Public Works has requested a proposal for doing the design for the failing timber abutment wing walls for bridges K1 and 2. We are utilizing a state highway contract to piggyback on that and utilizing Wilson T. Ballard to do the design. Ballard has done the bridge inspections for us over the last 2 biennial periods, so they're very familiar with the bridge work that needs to be done. So the request is for the design is $106,620.56, and that'll cover the preliminary design and the final design. The preliminary design will be funded through money that we have in FY20 that's been set aside for the project, and we'll, as a result of the preliminary design, we'll be able to get a better idea of what kind of environmental issues we may have before proceeding into the final design. Hopefully there'll be very few treated as a maintenance project and reduce our expenses as far as the final design. Does anybody have any questions on that?
No questions? Then I'll make a motion to approve the miscellaneous engineering services proposal dated April 22nd, 2020 from the Wilson T. Ballard Company, and to also execute the contract for these services.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
I'm sorry, and the motion would probably include, just note that it is a state highway contract that we're piggybacking on. And if you want to note the $106,620.56 as far as the contract amount.
So moved.
So included in the motion. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Mike.
Take care.
Okay, we now are to Marty Hale.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have one item for your consideration this evening, and I'm seeking approval to advertise a current maintenance worker vacancy in the Public Works Department, Buildings and Grounds Division. The vacancy was created due to the separation of an employee, a building maintenance worker. During the April 21st meeting, you decided that when a vacancy occurs during the pandemic, you will determine on a case-by-case basis if the position will be filled at this time. We are requesting authorization to proceed with advertising to fill this vacancy. So I'm looking for a motion to approve advertising the current maintenance worker vacancy in the Public Works Department, Buildings and Grounds Maintenance.
So we're saying, is this necessary? Is that correct?
You're to determine whether it's mission critical or not.
Yeah. I mean, is it this person was working until recently, or?
Yes.
Well, this is Public Works. Shouldn't Mike answer that?
Well, it's the maintenance.
They've requested to fill the position. I'm just following. They've requested to fill the position. I'm asking whether you deem it mission critical to fill it at this time.
So is this a position in roads or?
No, it's the Buildings Maintenance Division. So
they
there's
go around,
buildings
they fix-
maintenance, and grounds maintenance. This is building maintenance.
So they do lights, electrical, anything they need to fix within the building.
Merritt's employee, right?
Custodial,
How many ground maintenance employees do they have?
six total.
6, and that's with this person or without?
With this person would be six positions.
Do they all pretty much do the same type of maintenance?
Yes.
And it's a lot of custodial work as well, and all of them have been working. So these are not the people.
Buildings are, like this building's basically empty.
Correct, but they're still sanitizing doorknobs, light switches, and a lot of our buildings are not empty. Public Works has more people than ours does. Detention center, state's attorney's office, courthouse.
So even though these buildings are not being used, they're still
being clean.
They're probably being cleaned more.
They're
Being used as much. I mean,
In some cases, there's catch-up work being done. They also are responsible for mowing the lawns in some of the buildings, and so those are continuing to grow.
and Bob felt he needed this person.
They've requested to fill the position, yes.
I mean, it's really
do or not.
it's really truly up to you as to whether we move forward or not. You wanted to know if a position was essential or non-essential during this time. Ordinarily, we would have already gone forward and started advertising.
We're not going to hire a person probably till next time they interview and post. Right? I mean, it's May.
So right now, it takes 6 to 8 weeks before we have somebody on board.
I would probably suggest that we go ahead and hire the guy. We saw where we were with our budget today. We're getting close, and
well, we don't even have an applicant.
No.
No, I haven't advertised it yet because you requested
It'll
me
be
to
8 weeks,
seek
6 to 8 weeks
authorization.
before we even, if we say yes, it'll be another 6 to 8 weeks to get them in here.
And I like to kind of continue to hold on to our workforce and keep all our slots full unless we're come to a position where we got to really make some cuts. But I don't know if you want to let this one go for a month or two. I don't.
I mean, it's 6 1.
Do it. I'm with you with this.
If it wasn't,
half dozen the other.
how much grass did they cut?
Well, they cut the grass at 400 High Street. The parks and grounds maintenance does some of them. I'm not particularly sure of all of them. I know they do 400 High Street. They work on the gardens at 400 High. Most recently, they've been cleaning the blinds, so painting some chipped paint in around the windows in 400 High. So in some cases, they're getting caught up on things that they generally don't have time to do.
So they're able to do some things that we would have to pay.
They would just be slotted in some other time.
I mean,
well, I think particularly with the grass cutting and all right now.
You have a couple of options. You could authorize HR to move forward with advertising. You could say, hold on to it for a month and then advertise it, and then
getting first day of
the next budget year. But if with any underlap of personnel, you're going to have a little bit of savings, and that could be applied to something else. It sounds to me like they're requesting the position be filled, but it's not mission critical that it's filled. They're requesting it's filled, so we don't get behind and.
I'll go ahead and move forward with it.
Yeah.
For 2021.
Why don't we move forward with it, but drag your feet?
Yeah, drag your feet. We'll hire somebody for July 1st or something like that for next.
Well, this
next
request added a week to the process, so we've extended it slightly longer. So.
Why don't we move forward with it and be done with it?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, Shelley.
Mr. President, if I could speak up for a second. I just want to report out, if you do not know already, that we finalized the shared facilities agreement for Cackaway, and Cackaway has signed that, and the health department director, William Webb, has signed that. So that's all ready to go for your signature if you haven't signed it yet.
We got that project's moving forward.
Yes, it is. It's been signed by Cackaway and by Bill Webb, so all we need is President Mason's signature on the document, and then that aspect of it is behind us. We have a shared facilities agreement that's been approved by everybody.
Good, great.
Good for you.
Yep.
And I will say, and Tom will definitely concur, that it has been through intense legal and staff review.
Yes, it has.
The way it is. Mike will attest to that as well.
Well, that was good news. That's one we can mark off the list.
So if you want to make a motion to approve that, we can get it in front of you for signature.
Make a motion to approve the agreement of Public Works agreement with Cackaway Island.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Good news for a change. Okay, Shelley.
Okay, I have one item for you this evening. It is a request for a letter of support. Eastern Shore Heritage Incorporated, which is the managing entity for the Stories of the Chesapeake Heritage Areas, is applying to the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority, MHAA, for an FY21 management grant in the amount of $35,000 and $25,000, a small block grant. In addition to management support for the heritage area, the management grant will allow ISHI to continue to offer technical and financial, through grants, support to our local museums and other organizations that promote, interpret, and protect the many resources in the heritage area. The small grant block grant will allow ISHI to expand its current mini-grant program that provides grants to local nonprofits for the programming, interpretation, and past small grants and projects such as the exhibits at Sumner Hall and the Historical Society of Kent County, costumes for the Tea Party, World History Project. So again, this is a letter of support request.
I don't have a problem. I'll make a motion to approve.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we're now to the point of our public comment, media review. I don't know if anyone's on the phone. I can read this number again.
Do we have anybody on the phone?
We have a caller on the line. They are currently muted, so I'm hoping they can unmute if they have a question. It's 844-582-5543 is the caller number.
Why don't you read that numbers?
Public comment or media review, you need to dial 1-872-239-8359, and then you enter the conference ID of 674-518-158 with the hashtag. So if there is someone on the line, and if you are muted, you would have to unmute your phone.
Hello, this is Andre Dematia and Andrew Dematia from Talkie Communications.
Hi, Andre. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, may we speak?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we would like to give you guys an update and about Talkie Communications and what we've been doing in Kent County. I'm sure many of you know who we are. We have been providing broadband services, fiber optic services in Kent County since last year. We're almost at our 1-year anniversary, and we have connected almost 500 customers already in Kent County, many of them in the no-served area as well. We have 90 miles of fiber optics that we have put into Chestertown, at over 2,500 customers passed. that are eligible for our services. We did see that you guys have a public-private partnership with Think Big, and we would like to know if there's a possibility to have the county work with us as well, have an opportunity for some of the grant money. Currently, we are already working and installing services in Quakerneck, and we are going down to Cliff City right now on our own dime. And we've worked on Langford Road and other areas, including Airy Hills roads, and serve those no-serve customers. And we would like to know if there is an opportunity for us to participate in some of this grant money. Many of the areas that are in the resolution today are already targeted by our company, and we'd just like to know how we can help participate with Kent County to serve all our customers and residents.
Well, I think if you come in with a grant and want us to partner with you, we don't have any problem in doing that. The partnering we have done so far is that these grants have been brought before us, and then we have partnered, with them. So, we don't have a problem working with anyone. But the current grants we have with one of your competitors is, that's already done. It was granted. It's a state, federal, and county project. But if your company has a grant, or if you secure a grant and need
our cooperation,
we're willing to work with you.
Hey, Andre, this is Bob Jacob.
Hey, Bob.
I feel frustration in this with you because I get frustrated sometimes the way things go too. So is there any way that I could help bridge the gap? Maybe we'll go to Microsoft Teams and I'll get on a conversation with maybe you, Scott, and I, and we explain to you more fully on what's involved in it and the paperwork and what you have to do, so you could actually work on some of these for next year?
That would be great. We've been trying to see how we can help with Kent County, but we're not sure where we can right now. So that would be great to have that communication.
I'm not sure exactly how all this works easy, and we get on this with Scott, and maybe he can explain to both of us how the whole thing works a little better than what I know.
The key is knowing when the grant funding opportunities are available, and we do not even always keep our eye on those opportunities, but the companies that are applying for them, basically that want some of the grant funding, they know when the state or the federal government is about to release grant opportunities, and they bring a project forth. So those are not our cycles. Those are cycles that are determined by the state and the federal government.
Okay.
But
well, we appreciate.
You can email me, and we'll get a date set up, and we can get on a conference call with Scott, and we'll just see what we can do, and for setting up next year.
We appreciate any help that the county can give, and so far, just to let you know, for a little information, Talkie Communications have already put in almost $7 million into Kent County for fiber optics. So I'm sure a lot of the residents are loving actually having fiber. We've actually had several people down Quakerneck come to us and thank us for helping them get fiber. So we should be completing the Quakerneck project down to Cliff City within the next week to 2 weeks, and hopefully have the whole entire Quakerneck road wrapped up within the next month. And that was one of the stuff that the residents came into our office and begged us for internet. So we are doing a lot of great things for Kent County.
Well, look, this is Ron Fethian speaking. I'd just like to say, I think on behalf of our entire board here, all three of us, that our only goal when we first started this thing was to see high-speed internet be put to as many people in Kent County as possible. And I'd like to thank you for what you're doing, and you're certainly helping to further our goal. And our goal was is nothing more than to try to get high-speed internet to as many people in Kent County as possible. So thank you, and if you can come up with a project that you'd like to work with us with, by all means, give our office a call.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on phone
At news or?
or media?
Anyone else?
Okay, if not,
I'm going to double check it in case
All right.
anybody hopped on that I wasn't aware of. I don't see anyone else.
don't see anyone. Okay, well, I guess we have a closed session coming up, so I guess we have to close the open session.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we go into closed session to discuss personnel.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
You gotta sign it, Tom.